Hey everyone, it's Rob Roy, and welcome to this week's edition of Hub Financial Live. Great to have Brandon with us again. We've been away for a minute, but happy to be back today. Can't wait to get his updates on what's going on in crypto land. But before we get there, let's take a quick look at the markets. We talked last night over on the insiders meeting at ewotrader.com that we had to hold this all-important 525 level. It was going to be interesting to see how we traded today going into a holiday weekend. Everyone is probably aware the markets are closed on Monday for Memorial Day, and thank you to everyone for your service. We really appreciate all you do for us, and it's a day to honor those that have served and especially fallen for this great country. But taking a look at where we are so far, we have held that level. We're not at the close yet, so it's going to matter where we close. This is a quick reminder. We had this symmetrical triangle back here on the wave 4. We broke above it. That occurred last week when the CPI report came in, slightly tamer than expected. That gave us the break above the wave 3 high, and so far we've been moving sideways. Yesterday we had an outside day, which means the high of the day exceeded the high of the previous day, and then the low of the day exceeded the low of the previous day. And normally when you see that, you get some sort of a move. It kind of acts as a doji if you're familiar with candlestick patterns. But today we're looking for an inside day, at least at this point. Basically what that means is the market isn't sure where it wants to go. So if we finish this way, and an inside day means the high of the day is lower than the high of the previous day, and the low of the day is higher than the low of the previous day, that would be 2 back-to-back days. That's not something that happens all the time. It's kind of unusual to have an outside day followed by an inside day. It just means the market is not sure. What concerned the markets yesterday was we had the release of the, or at least on Wednesday, we had the release of the Fed meeting minutes. And there was a couple Fed governors that said they weren't opposed to hiking further. Nobody wants to hear in the equities market anything to do with rate hikes. We've all been focused on when are the rate cuts going to come. There's one rate cut still priced in. Somehow there's a 57% chance still of a rate hike before September, a rate cut before September. I don't think that's happening. I mentioned I think the Fed's playing politics. I don't think they want to do anything. I think they will if they have to. But the bottom line here is that we need to hold this 525 level. If we break below that, because of this breakout from the triangle, there's two things here. One, with that better than 45-degree angle move, there's no support under 525. And we'll probably come back down here to the point of that triangle breakout. And that's the other side of the coin, is when you have these corrective triangles in the world of Elliott wave, oftentimes you go back to the point of the breakout. It works the same way as gaps. You don't know when it's going to get filled, and you don't know when the retracement's going to be back to the point of the triangles. It could be soon, it could be later, but for now, all eyes are where we close today. Can we hold above this 525 level into the close? And then we go back to looking at, all right, where do things go from here? You can see that wave 5 target's way out to September, October. I know a lot of people look at election trends. Normally the market is bullish into an election. That isn't one of the things that I tend to follow, election cycles. So I've been kind of more focused on where this zigzag extension is, coming from the lows that occurred right there in January. So that was the A wave. This is the B wave. And the C wave extension is up here at 550. I think we watch that first, and then we can start talking about where that wave 5 extension may go, etc. It's important to note that we are confirmed in a wave 5 is turned purple, which means it could end at any time. So we're in an area where we're not quite sure where things are going to go. And by this market action, if we do indeed finish with an inside day today, that gives you back-to-back uncertainty as far as the big traders, the institutions, on where things go from here as well. So enjoy the weekend, and Tuesday, if we do get past this close, is likely to be a pretty volatile day as far as where we move. Looking at interest rates, they have ticked back to the upside a bit. As you can see, we are in, unfortunately, a well-formed 5-wave pattern to the upside. We had this zigzag pattern that hit spot on at the 100% extension. We've come back down to that previous A-wave high. That's classic stuff as well. We're breaking back up higher here. We filled this gap. Let's hope that interest rates calm a bit. What I would like to see is that rates just kind of go into a trading range here between the 61.8% and 100% extensions, and we don't see a break above 100%, which would lead us to believe that we might go up to that wave 5 high. That would put a 5 handle on the 10-year. That won't be good for especially the tech stocks, let alone the rest of the equities market. But we have to be aware of the fact that it's a well-constructed pattern and the possibility exists. So we got to keep an eye on that. We got to keep an eye on where rates go from here. And then if we look at the dollar, you would expect with a little bit of a tick up in rates, that's going to be supportive of the dollar, and it has been. We don't want to see, I didn't like this move up here in April and the beginning of May, back to those highs that we saw at the end of the fall there in October and November, moving into the wintertime. I didn't want to see that. We did get there, but fortunately we didn't stay there very long, and we moved back down. But you can see this is also a well-formed 5-wave pattern to the upside, and that's concerning as well. If we get the double whammy, if we get rates moving up and the dollar moving up, which they will probably move in concert together, none of that is good for the equities market. I think we have to wait and see what's going to happen with the next PCE report. There really isn't much on the way of major economic data before that. We did have the jobless claims report yesterday, which showed that the jobless claims were down. So that means the jobs market is still pretty strong. The economy is hanging in there so far. And then we throw in the fact that we have an inverted yield curve, which is forecasting a recession. It always has. Every time we've had an inverted yield curve, we've had a recession. Granted, this yield curve has been inverted for an extremely long period of time, longer than normal. So nothing's 100%, but it has been so far. So lots to think about. I think you stay cautious. I think you pick your spots. You look for where the most ideal scenarios are as far as trading the market. Thought I'd show the VIX real quick. That was commented on in the U.S. market update from Elliott Wave Options last week. We do have an expanding triangle here, and people were saying that, well, since we're down here at support, isn't it likely that we get a break to the upside on the VIX? We could, but with the triangle, we can go either way. I just want to make sure people are aware that it's not unrealistic. We have historical evidence that we've broken below this level. We've been below 10 before in the past when we've had market rallies. So if we can get that PCE report to come in a little tamer, just like we had on the CPI report, maybe we stop all this whispering about rate hikes and we start talking about rate cuts again, and perhaps that can propel the market up to at least that C wave extension high before we start talking about the wave 5 high, and maybe the VIX does break to the downside out of that triangle. But I can understand why people are thinking that sitting on this support level, which has been support for the entire year, you can see the trend line there, that maybe we're going to break higher. We're not having follow through from yesterday's sell-off, though. And if you're bullish on the markets, and as much as I enjoy trading the markets to the downside, we all know things move faster to the downside. You can make money quicker, but I'm not that selfish to the fact that I know that more people make money when the markets are going up with retirement plans, IRAs, 401ks, etc. So we all look for the market to go to the upside, so everybody has a chance to participate and make money. But it doesn't worry me in the world of trading options if we move lower. If you have retirement plans and you don't like the fact that the market moves down, learn to trade options so you don't care which direction the market goes. I think that's the key there. So that's a brief rundown of what's going on in the markets. And I want to get out of the way real quick because I want to bring in, to me, the most crypto expert that I've had the pleasure of meeting and talking to. It's been a while. It's been a minute, as we said. Brandon, glad to have you back here. How you doing? First of all, happy Friday to you.
Hey, glad to be here, Rob. You mentioned so much stuff I want to touch on, only because it parallels with what's happening right now in the crypto market. You talked about politics playing a huge role in what's going on right now. I don't know if you know the expression or whatever, Rob, but have you heard the expression "sell in May, go away"?
Oh
Right?
yeah.
You've heard this
Yep.
expression a lot of times, right? But not during an election year. Okay, so I guess statistically during an election year, the sell in May, go away is something that's been kind of off the table. And you talked about how so much politics right now is influencing what's happening in the market, which is interesting because that's exactly what is happening in the crypto market right now. You mentioned the Fed possibly cutting this year. Don't you worry, Rob. I can predict with almost certainty they will cut, regardless if they want to or not, based on what I've seen the last couple of weeks over in crypto. And I don't know if you know the story or what's happening right now in crypto, but there's a lot going on that's going to affect you in the market, and it's going to affect everybody basically going forward just because of the pivot that I've seen with this administration and what's happening. A couple weeks ago, Trump got together with a bunch of supporters here, and I think I have a couple slides for this stuff, but Trump got together and he started to form his own pro crypto army, basically accepting cryptocurrency for his donations, for his campaign, for his rallies and stuff like that. And it started to wake a lot of people up. A lot of people were like, holy crap. Right now in America, we have 44 million voters that are pro crypto. And so Trump taking a swing at this population was bad for Biden, obviously. And so him saying this stuff, I think it started to get the ears of Biden, Gensler over at the SEC, and a couple other people. Elizabeth Warren tried to fight back for a second there, but I don't know if you know, but
What a shock that is, man. Oh my God. But before you continue, I don't want to interrupt you any further, but this is why I love having you on, because I actually had not seen that headline. As much of the financial headlines as I've seen, I had not seen that one. And so, yeah, that's why I love having you on these shows.
That's crazy that you have not.
I'll get out of the way.
No, that's crazy. You've not seen this so biased news based on what you watch or what you follow. You know what? But that's the unfortunate part, because I think everybody kind of needs to know what's going on. And right now, Trump's saying this. So what happened here is we've been trying to approve an Ethereum ETF for a couple months now to follow the steps of the Bitcoin ETF that got approved back in January. And a lot of people saying, you know what, this is going to fail. And if you show my chart here, we can check out, and I wish I was using the Hub software, but I'm not. We can see the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. When we trade in crypto, we match everything against what's going on in Bitcoin. And if you can see the Ethereum Bitcoin chart all the way since 2023, all the way down till, I mean, we're talking, geez, all the way down to May. I mean, does that chart look great to you, Rob? It doesn't look like a great
left, upper, right.
Especially where you can't trade options on crypto. So this is Ethereum Bitcoin right now. And even though Ethereum's up against Bitcoin, it's been trading down horribly. But this whole period in here, we've been trying to get the Ethereum ETF approved so that we can get an Ethereum spot ETF to get people from Wall Street over trading Ethereum, because right now they don't have as good of access to it like they do Bitcoin now. And so what we've been telling people that follow our service over at Digital Investor, we've been slowly dollar cost averaging into Ethereum. But we've been fully expecting a denial until Trump came out 2 weeks ago and said, you know what, I'm pro crypto. So what did that do? That started to spark a whole bunch of interest on the Democratic side of crypto. Over here, my next slide here, you can see over the last weeks, this is May 16th, they took a bill to court. This is called the SAB 121 bill. They took it over to court, to the House. The House voted, and they won by one vote to pass this bill. And this bill is a bill that allows banks to custody crypto. Prior to this bill, banks could not custody crypto. And Biden said, as soon as this bill goes to the House, and if it passes the House and the Senate, I'm going to veto this bill. Because prior to Trump coming out, he thought there was no way in heck this passes the House. And right here on the screen, as you can see, the Senate passed the bill as well. And not only did the Senate pass the bill, but the Speaker of the Senate also voted yes for the bill. So now Biden has literally today, he has 10 days to veto like he said he was going to. I don't think he's going to veto. I think he's going to let this bill go through. And this will allow banks to now custody crypto for retail investors and anybody wanting to hold crypto now at their bank. which is a huge move for crypto. And Biden was against it prior to Trump passing this. And if you go on further, we have another bill that just passed. This is 2 days ago. This is yesterday. This is the FIT 21 bill, which will allow for more clarity on how we govern crypto, how we regulate it, how we either say it's commodity or security. And oh my gosh, this passed overwhelmingly. You'll notice 71 Dems passed this bill. Now, what does this all mean? Basically, what happened yesterday was a full 180. And if you look here, I'm going to pull up the Ethereum chart here on my screen. If you look at the ETH chart right here, it was trading down so badly here for quite some time. And if you notice, this jump right here, this was Tuesday. This is when the Dems all of a sudden said, you know what? This is over at Bloomberg. They said, we think the ETH ETF is going to be passed. And this jumped from $3,000 right here on the chart. This jumped all the way to it went to 3,900 on the high in a matter of 30 minutes. So basically a 25% jump for Ethereum is what happened when they said that this was going to be approved. And then just yesterday, after market close, the Ethereum ETF got approved. So what does this mean for you, Rob? And what does this mean for everybody watching? Ethereum now just got the green light for an ETF. Once those S1s get totally passed, this is going to be listed on all the exchanges. So now you're going to have another option to play in the crypto market, which is very cool. And Ethereum right now is so undervalued. It is so underpriced compared to Bitcoin. This is going to be the play going forward. So right now, a lot of eyes are on Ethereum. A lot of people are getting into Ethereum. And when this thing starts trading here in June, all the people that maybe 2x, 3x their money here on the Bitcoin ETFs are going to be looking to do the exact same thing on the Ethereum ETF. But the market cap of Ethereum is so much smaller, and there's such a smaller supply based on everything going on. The price is so much smaller. If the same amount of money that came into the Bitcoin ETFs comes into the Ethereum ETF, we're seeing $6,000 to $8,000 Ethereum easily by the end of the year over here. And I think that could be the next move to watch here, Rob.
Wow, I love to hear that. And again, this is why I love having you on this show and doing this show with you, Brandon, because you told me a lot of things that I wasn't aware of. I did see this big move. If we come back to my chart, and I have the Hub software on, which we do have cryptos now. Everyone doesn't, but they just released it for us. So the beta goes in 2 steps. We get it first, and then it goes to everyone else with the beta form. But 2 things that I wanted to mention here. One, this is just because I'm the triangle guy, right? That's how I made my name in the world of options. Someone sought me out and wrote a book about trading options on triangles. And the fact that we had a big descending triangle here in Ethereum, and there's a lot of misinformation out there that a descending triangle means a downside breakout. And I've always said, no, that's not true. You can break either direction. That's what Elliott said on these corrective triangles. And here we go, a perfect example. You can see clearly that the breakout was to the upside. Now, I thought this was just because of anticipation of the ETF being approved on Ethereum. I wasn't aware that the likelihood was it wasn't before the Trump news came out. So you, again, taught me a whole lot. But I do want to give you kudos because I am full on in Ethereum based on you were saying that that's going to be the place to be. And you've been so right. And so been very happy with that. And then this big, huge move obviously was fantastic. So just a quick chart of Bitcoin, and you showed you trade the Bitcoin Ethereum relationship. And so when we look at Bitcoin, we've had this trading range here. We did have a descending triangle, but we didn't break out of the trading range. And so, yes, it moved higher, but clearly not to the degree that Ethereum did. So Ethereum was outperforming. Thanks for all the background information. That's what you always bring to the table, is stuff that I'm not aware of, and you fill in the blanks, so to speak. So that was fantastic. I do.
There's always
a
bigger. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
There's always more to the story, and that I'm not aware of, and you always have that information. I did want to ask, do you see Bitcoin breaking out of this? Is it only going to be Ethereum? I know you're saying Ethereum's going to outperform moving higher here, but does Bitcoin break out? It's been in this range for quite some time here. So does it break out of it?
Now
It
that's
seems
a
it
huge.
holds 60,000. It runs into resistance at 70,000. So it's in this 10,000 point range that it can't seem to get out of. Every time it looks like it's going to break out of it and run, then we come back down and test 60,000 again. And so we're right back up here. So I was just curious as to if you had any thoughts on Bitcoin and if it's which way it's going to go. I mean, I
Yeah,
know when we have this range, nobody
a
knows,
lot
but
of yeah, a lot of resistance here. I mean, what's happening now? I mean, just to paint the background picture a little bit, I do think Ethereum's going to outperform just based on what happened yesterday. It is going to outperform through the end of the year, and I think it's going to start getting more of a catalyst for an upswing because now BlackRock gets the opportunity to use their on-chain preparations for their what they're going to do is bring real-world assets on-chain, and I think they're going to start tokenizing that. And so BlackRock being a player there is going to help Ethereum, but Bitcoin, I think probably even the last time we talked, we were talking about the halving and what it's doing. And typically after post halving, it does about 30 days of consolidation, which we just passed 4 days ago. And so now we saw this little breakout here with the Ethereum ETF approval. We saw a little bit of a breakout, but a pullback because I think all the spotlight is on Ethereum. So I think you'll notice too, and this is the poly market betting. Everybody can bet on whatever they want. It's at 100% now, but prior to all this happening, there was a 9% chance that the Ethereum ETF got approved, 7% chance it got all the way down to. Then immediately, as soon as all this stuff happened, it went up 70% chance. But the question about Bitcoin, as soon as it continues to consolidate a little bit more, it's going to do an upswing here soon. I think it's going to break out of this pattern. I don't think it holds here much longer. And I think a lot of people are still waiting for clarification on this FIT 21 bill. They're waiting to see if Biden actually goes through and vetoes the Fab 121. And then we're going to wait for this ETH ETF to start trading to see this post sell the news dip, because that sell the news thing is always a self-fulfilling prophecy. Regardless of what's happening in the market, regardless of the reality, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So it's going to have a little sell the news type of dip, which we tried to see some people yesterday try to pre-sell the news hilariously. And anyway, lost a lot of money. But they're going to sell the news, and then everything's going to start trending back up, and we're going to have one of the biggest crypto summers that we've ever seen in any bull cycle ever. And we have a class. We do usually a whole hour session on exactly what's happening with Bitcoin every single week over at Digital Investor, where we talk through why we think it's going to be doing this, the catalysts that are going to make this do this, and historical charts that basically show the exact path that it's going to follow. We're still on target for 90K Bitcoin by the end of the year. And now we're looking at about 6,600 to 8,000 Ethereum by the end of the year. So.
I do have to give you kudos. You did say that, and I've actually cited what you said when I talk about Bitcoin and the U.S. market update over at LA Wave Options on YouTube, whatever. I talk about how you've said that post-halving, normally you go through a consolidation before you move. So, yep, you were right there as well. And so, yeah, I've used that quote, and people can go back and watch past recordings and see exactly what you said, and that is what you said. That this is all normal, and then talking about Ethereum. So
I do want to show one more chart too, just because I think this is important. I think Ryan has it here. This chart is one of the past cycles, and Bitcoin is a volatile little buggy. And every time, and this happened like a couple weeks ago, I think it went up to 74,000, then it dropped all the way down to 59,000, which is completely normal given the trends of Bitcoin. You'll notice this is back in the 2017 bull run post halving. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 30% plus pullbacks on that huge run where it actually jumped 1,700% overall. So just be sure to know what you're getting into with Bitcoin. It is a little more volatile, but now that the ETFs are here, I see that volatility being a little bit muted. So I always like to show this chart just to kind of show people what could happen with Bitcoin. If you see a pullback like that, just remember the bigger trend is your friend in this game, and kind of block out the noise and get to the real meat of what's happening here. Like don't close your eyes with crypto, because right now this is a political game, and with both sides now, both the Dems and the Republicans getting on the side of crypto, there's not going to be a lot stopping it now going forward.
Yeah, please leave that chart up for a minute because I just want to talk about general market psychology because I've been talking about this so much recently. And if you block out those negatives there and you look at where that chart went from, again, lower left, upper right, you're like, would you be happy with that kind of move? And of course, everyone's going to say yes. But then you look at the fact that you had all those 30+% pullbacks, and the general nature of traders is when they see something like that, they freak out and they get nervous and they panic, and they get out at the exact wrong time. So it's really important to note that things don't go in a straight line. I agree with you. Look at the bigger picture. I mean, from where it started to where it ended is fantastic. But could you have withstood those breaks in the meantime? And we're seeing that with the AI impulse strategy as well. We just had one yesterday that had a 70% gain in one day, and we love it when they move quickly like that. But nothing always moves in a straight line. The market moves in impulses and corrections, and you have to have the patience and the trust and the belief in what you're looking at and stay through that. I'm not saying it's easy. I remember when I first started, and nobody ever wants to see any sort of a move down or a drawdown, but you do have to keep the bigger picture in mind and realize it's not what happens day to day or even month to month, but you're looking more quarter over quarter or at the end of the year or whatever. That's what really matters. So it's, where the results are the long term. And can you imagine someone, Brandon, that got out on that first drop, that first 38% drop, and they said, oh, I can't take this, and they got out, and they missed the entire rest of that run. And that's what happens when people get nervous and panic. So, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And that's a great chart. It kind of, the timing of you showing that fathers in what I've been talking to people about and talking to traders about is patience and the fact that things don't always move exactly the direction we want all the time. You get impulses and corrections. It's all the natural formulation of the markets. Is how technical trading works, and that's a perfect chart to illustrate that. That's great. I'm glad you showed that. So any comments on Jupiter before we let you go today?
Yeah, we actually just hit on Jupiter in today's show over at Digital. That's funny you mentioned that, but I want to touch on just one thing that you said. We talk about these pullbacks in the market, but you don't know. I mean, you don't know if you don't know. It's nice to have like somebody like you, Rob, who kind of has traded for years and can walk you through this, or somebody like not to toot my own, but myself, because we look at those historical charts, but like you just don't know if you don't know the future, or you don't know like how markets behave. And 2 days ago was Bitcoin Pizza Day. Do you know what that is, Rob? Have you heard of this at all?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it means.
Share my screen, Ryan. So, right, this is back in 2010. A guy named Laszlo had 10,000 Bitcoin, and he traded those 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas, right? Today, that 10,000 Bitcoin is worth $700 million. But, at the time, he got the 2 pizzas, okay? And this guy does do therapy, but we celebrate Bitcoin Pizza Day in the Bitcoin community every single May 22nd because that's what this guy did. He gave 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. But it goes a lot with what you just said, the market psychology. You don't know sometimes, and so you need that guidance, which is like, Rob, that's why they watch you here on the Hub channel. That's why they watch you over on EWO, or that's why they watch us over at Digital Investor. They need that guidance, and sometimes even that stability that, hey, everything's okay, we're fine. So the same thing you brought up Jupiter, and we talked about Jupiter today on the show. Jupiter, if you guys don't know or not, is basically a swap platform where people over on Solana can trade any token. They can swap in and out of any token and get into any token. But Jupiter's really cool because it has a perp dex. It has ways to do governance. You can vote on protocols that are coming out. You can stake your Jupiter, which I know staking was one of the reasons that they actually passed the Ethereum ETF, because they pulled staking out. So still a questionable thing, but you can actually stake your Jupiter and vote on protocols, get free airdrops, which that might be a foreign term to a lot of you guys. But Jupiter is a really, man, I am a big fan of Jupiter right now, only because it's following the footsteps of Uniswap. And just like you said, if you have historical charts where you can watch what happened And Uniswap was the Ethereum, the same thing where everybody could go and watch these trades happen. And they watched Uniswap's price skyrocket. Jupiter's new this year for Solana. And so we're all big fans of Jupiter right now. And we are DCAing right there for Jupiter. So
Great stuff. And I was just curious about it because, as always, I listened to everything that you said, and it's certainly paid off very handsomely. And now added to Ethereum down there near the bottom, thinking that I didn't see this kind of move coming, but yeah.
That's good.
So it's
To
yeah,
move
no,
a market cap that big, oh, it's like Nvidia. To move a stock that much, add trillions of dollars of value is crazy. So to move the number 2 market cap coin that much is kind of rare. But I'm glad that you got in before it. But a lot of us were ready for it. A lot of us got in before it, so we were ready.
yeah, awesome stuff. Anything else that you wanted to share, Brandon, before we let you go?
Oh, we have a lot of stuff going on. If you guys do want to hear more about what's going on in crypto, by all means, go ahead and check us out. We'll put a link in the description here, Digital Investor, where we go over all things crypto. We do education. We talk about what we're looking at in the markets, utility of certain tokens, how to put those assets in places where you can actually earn more yield on top of the yield that you're already earning in the market. There's so many things that you can do with crypto. Now that we're getting more and more green lights from the SEC, more regulation, that is a great thing for crypto. We are going to keep crypto here in America, which is the message that was heard loud and clear. And so we're excited about it.
All that's great stuff. And one of the things that I've told the listeners and subscribers, whether it's here on the Hub Financial channel or over at EWO, is if I don't feel that I'm an expert in something, then I go out and find the people that are, and you are the foremost crypto expert that I've run into. So we love having you here and hearing your expertise. And that's the idea, is bring the best information to the people that we can. And just as a reminder, with the new platform at Hub Financial, the cryptos are out. As you saw, that I have them. That's the very first release. It will be out to the beta people in the very near future. And then once the full release is, everybody will be able to follow it there as well. But Brandon, as always, very informative. You teach me something every time we talk. It's great to see you. And I hope it's not as long before we get a chance to do this again. As has been in the meantime.
No
I know our
kidding.
schedules have been a bit crazy, but thanks so much. Have a great holiday weekend, you and your family, and to everyone else, have a great holiday weekend, and we look forward to talking to you again next week. Take care, everybody.
All right. We'll see you, Rob. Thanks.
See you, Brandon.